Fire Radio.
Hey everybody, Jeremy, National Fire Radio. Welcome back to the show. Today, a repeat guest, John Kane. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming back to the show.
Hey, Jeremy, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So a little bit different this go around, right? The message is going to be a little bit different. You got yourself involved with an organization that, for me, I hold in high esteem. The best of the best, at least I believe it. The National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, the NFFF, always has done the fire service right, recognizing our own that have fallen, taking care of the families of our fallen, and being sure to memorialize our comrades every year through an incredible memorial service, but also year-long. They offer a tremendous amount of projects and programs that are in place for the fire service. And, John, I wanted to have you back on because you had reached out and told me what your new endeavor was, and I was interested by it because, to be honest with you, I think so much of the fire service doesn't have a good understanding of the resources available from the NFFF. And so today, you find yourself working as the coordinator of outreach and education for the organization. And so I kind of want to unpack that a little bit with you and really with our community on the National Fire Radio podcast and social media. I want to get the word out about what you guys are doing and what programs are out there and available to us. So give me a little bit of background of what you're doing, how you found the position with the association, and so on.
Right. Again, thanks for having me. And I am the coordinator of education and outreach for the National Fallen Firefighters. I've been in that position for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was a volunteer advocate for the foundation. That's how I originally got involved, and now I help oversee the advocacy program throughout the U.S. So a little about us. National Fallen Firefighters was founded in 1992. We're actually mandated to exist by Congress,
Yes.
but we're not directly funded by Congress. So there's no line item in any congressional budget that funds us. We essentially operate under federal grants, specifically FEMA's FP&S grant, some DOJ grant funds, partnerships with various organizations, and also donations from private citizens and other groups are really what helps us go out and do what we do. Like you said, we're probably best known for Memorial Weekend, which occurs every May at the
Sure.
National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. I think that's probably our most public-facing endeavor, but there's a lot more that we do. Our mission is essentially to honor the fallen, assist family members with the aftermath of a line-of-duty death, and then try and prevent future tragedies, right? Future injuries and deaths in the fire service. Unfortunately, every year we're still adding names to the memorial. Every year it's anywhere from 70 to 120. Things have gotten better, but there's, quite a bit of work remains to be done.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, as the number varies every single year, there's still that constant, right? And I think for me, looking at how do we memorialize our own when they make the ultimate sacrifice, a lot of times it's a lot of pomp and circumstance up front, and then it fades away. Mm-hmm. And then the memories and the stories kick in. But for us, it's one thing in the firehouse. It's another for the families, and the families that are directly involved with a loved one that dies in a line of duty. What the NFFF does is they do it all right, and they put the family first. They certainly protect. They protect the family. They take care of the family. It becomes a family, which I've spoken to many widows that have not only have gone through the process with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, but then they become advocates themselves for the association. So many people that have received the help of the NFFF have come back to give back to the families that lose people long after theirs. And I think that's a testament to what you guys do on a daily basis there. But the really interesting part for me is the education and outreach part, what you just mentioned, right? It's one thing to memorialize our own, take care of our own, protect the families, encourage the families, get them help, get whatever they need, the resources available, and to recognize them. But how about what are we doing on the back end to educate ourselves so that maybe we can slow down the amount of names getting put on that memorial every year. And I think that's really where you come in this piece, right? Is the educational factor and the programs that are offered by the NFFF.
Yeah, so the NFFF is divided into two basic divisions: fire programs and family programs. So family programs, like you talked about, it deals more with honoring the fallen, assisting the families that are left behind, things like that. Fire programs, which is where education and outreach falls under, uh, is tasked more with prevention, right? Hoping that we can put one last name on that memorial
Right.
next year. Um, the fire programs division where I work is headed up by Danny Kitzner, who's a retired fire chief from Texas. Uh, it's aside from Memorial Weekend, it's probably our most public facing part of the organization. We go out and teach classes. You know, we understand that firefighting is a dangerous endeavor. It's a risky occupation, regardless if you're a career or volunteer. It comes with its own risks. Um, but our goal is to learn from the past, take every lesson learned and apply it through our education and outreach, and hopefully prevent the preventable. Prevent another tragedy from occurring. Um, we have 17 courses that we can deliver in person, and we do that through our volunteer advocates. And
Mm.
we currently have 250 throughout the United States. We actually have advocates in 48 states. Um, the country is divided up into 10 regions for us, and those coincide with the FEMA regions, 1 through 10. Um, and our advocates go out and they teach these classes to career, volunteer, combination departments, different fire service agencies. The courses deal with culture change, leadership, officer development, risk management, after action review, things like that. We don't teach operational type classes. You know, we don't teach people how to advance a hose line or secure a water supply. We deal more with cultural change, leadership, all those things. Um, all of our advocates are involved in the fire service, or at least they were. It's a mix of current firefighters, retired firefighters, volunteers, career, um, urban to rural,
Sure.
you name it. Um, Many of our advocates have been touched directly by line of duty death, meaning they had one in their own department. And, you know, they wanted to get involved, like you said, because they know the impact that that has on a department, on the community, and they want to see if they can be part of preventing the next one. And, you know, a lot of our retired folks as well. We have some advocates that are retired from some of the largest fire departments in the United States, and they all say this was a great way for them to stay involved in the fire service. Even though their time on the apparatus is over, this is their way to kind of give back to the next generation. And we're currently at the highest number of advocates that we've ever had.
Yeah,
Actually,
250 is a big number. I love it.
yeah, actually, as of yesterday, we're at 252.
Wow.
And just in the past 2 years, we've added about 100. I mean, people are really interested in getting involved, and we're grateful for that. And we hope it
what
continues.
do you require from an advocate? Like if somebody is interested in getting involved, what does the role of the advocate look like?
So it's really whatever they want it to be. There's no minimum time commitment. Exactly. You know, if someone's really interested in teaching classes for us, we give them the tools to do that. We do the train the trainer for them. If someone maybe just wants to staff an informational booth at a trade show, you know, we attend all the big conferences, FDIC, FRI, you name it, and then we attend a lot of regional and state shows that are a little smaller but still very impactful. If someone wants to go and staff a booth and discuss our mission, hand out some materials, if someone wants to go talk to a local firehouse about everything we have to offer, or the life safety initiatives, or anything, including speaking engagements, we do it all. And some people are
Yeah.
very strong in certain areas, but maybe not so strong in others. So if they're involved in the fire service and they want to reduce preventable line of duty deaths and injuries, we'd love to have them. And that's about it. It's as much as you want to do or as little as you want to do, as long as you're just helping us further our mission of reducing preventable incidents.
House software got you buried in tabs, logins, and paper sign-in sheets. You've got one system for training, another for reporting, something else for alerting, scheduling, inspections. You get the idea. That's why departments across the country are switching to Alpine Software's Red Alert, the tailor-made fire service software that brings everything together in one system with one bill and no more paperwork. Red Alert replaces your pile of platforms with a single, customizable solution that handles training, alerting, inspections, truck checks, percentage reports, award points, ISO prep, OSHA tracking, the list goes on, everything you do your way. No two Red Alert systems are the same. Alpine builds your software around the unique needs of your department. And when it's time to switch, Alpine will convert all your old data with no setup fees at zero risk. Their entire team is based in Rochester, New York, which means no support runaround. You can pick up the phone and speak to somebody who understands the fire service and gets your issues fixed. With over 30 years of trust and an average customer tenure of 19 years, Alpine's mission is to be the last software purchase your department ever makes. It's battle-tested, firefighter approved, and nearest ready. So if you're ready to save time, reduce costs, and finally get control of your operations, visit alpinesoftware.com for a completely free consultation. That's alpinesoftware.com. Red Alert by Alpine Software. Built for the job, backed by firefighters. No, I think that's great because, people listening to this are always, I get so much feedback on episodes like this because people are interested in helping or making a difference. And, the reputation of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation is impeccable, and it needs to be, right? It needs to be of the utmost integrity and character because it is doing the work that we all need for our own, right? And so, the education piece and working with advocates and finding volunteers that can support that mission is incredibly important to the mission surviving, right? And the more advocates we get out there and the more people that are pushing and talking about what the foundation can offer and what it does, only provides a larger education circle for people to learn about. And so I love that. Talk to me a little bit about the programs that you guys do offer. You mentioned how your advocates can go out and teach these programs, that you have a train-to-trainer, and so on. So I'm just curious what some of these programs are and how they fit in.
So there's 17 that we deliver in person. And I do want to mention, we also have a online platform called the Fire Hero Learning Network, and you can visit it by going to fhln.net. There's about 30 online classes. There's some interactive tools, things like that. Those are great, rainy night kind of drills for the fire station. But our in-person classes are all based on things like cultural change, leader development, officer development, after action review, where we take a look at what we've just done on an alarm. What went well, what didn't go so well, what can we do a little different or better next time. We have another very popular class called Taking Care of Our Own, which is taught by advocates and mental health professionals, chief officers who've been directly involved in line of duty death. And what that class does is teaches departments how to manage a line of duty death, because when it does occur, it's obviously a horrible, catastrophic event. Some departments don't know where to begin. They don't understand how to plan a funeral. They don't know how to complete paperwork, like the public safety officer benefit, which is a financial benefit for survivors of a fallen firefighter. There's some fairly detailed paperwork that has to be completed in order for a dependent to receive that benefit from the federal government. Some people have no experience with that, and it's very overwhelming, and they obviously have a lot of other things on their mind. We have people that can come in and assist with that from start to finish. There's obviously a timeliness component to that. You have to complete the paperwork in a short amount of time in order to qualify for the benefits. Some people don't know where to begin. And there's other things that happen, after a death occurs where, the survivors don't know how to find a counselor or psychologist to talk to that would help, that would specialize in this, or they don't know how to get their finances in order, or they don't know what to do in a lot of different areas because the firefighter that passed away handled all of those things.
Right.
So But our classes really on the fire program side, other than taking care of our own, which is really just planning for the line of duty death, deal with how to be that solid leader, how to make your department better, how to do the job as safely as you can. And again, we don't teach operational type stuff, and we don't tell people how to fight a fire. We want to help develop the next generation of fire service leaders so that they can successfully manage, their crew, their shift, their battalion, their department, or whatever. So if it's not us teaching it directly, and I mentioned we have 250 people that do it for us,
Right.
we can also come in and enter into a contract or an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, with a state level agency, whether it's a fire marshal's office, whatever agency is tasked with fire training for that particular state, or an actual fire department. And right now we have 41 MOUs throughout the United States, most of which are state level agencies, but we recently have started seeking out and signing agreements with metro fire departments. We recently signed on with the city of New Orleans. We just got back from doing Train the Trainer for New Orleans Fire. So now they'll be able to teach 5 of our classes to really whoever they want, whether it's recruit firefighters,
Yeah.
officer candidates, the general membership, doesn't matter. We have 2 other departments in Louisiana that signed shortly after New Orleans, and we'll be doing Train the Trainer for them shortly. And we're currently in talks with a couple fire departments on the West Coast. So we really are expanding our footprint. And what we found is that, sometimes scheduling doesn't work out. If a fire department or an agency needs one of our advocates to come down next Wednesday to teach a class because that's all they have available, if we can't find someone in a hurry, the MOU gives these folks the opportunity to teach the class internally using their own members. And sometimes that's better received if the
Right.
people are getting the message from someone in their own agency. So how the message gets delivered is not necessarily important to us as long as it's getting out. And every year we have contact with about 75,000 firefighters in the U.S., which is a good number. It's a
Yeah.
good start, I should say. But as you know, there's 1.2 million firefighters in the U.S. So we have a long way to go, but we are getting there. And between our in-person deliveries, our MOUs, and our online platform, the message is really starting to get out.
Well, I think it's great, and but that's advocacy, right? I mean, that's what you're looking for. We want to get that word out there. We want to educate people about the services that are offered. I think so often nobody puts much thought to it, right? I mean, how often do we think about a line of duty? It's not going to happen here. It's not something that we're going to deal with, right? And then, so the preventable side of that, these classes that can help educate and bring us to make us better, well rounded, and so on to deal with things like this, we kind of put all that stuff on the back burner. But I think what's really important about this conversation is the education overall about what the NFFF does, right, as an organization, and the valuable tools that you guys can bring forward. And the fact that you're willing to give your training away, it's given away, right? There's no cost associated here, right? As far as I know.
No, absolutely not. Like I mentioned, we're funded through federal grant programs,
Right.
partnerships, and donations. So we never ever charge anyone for any of our services. It's completely free to the end user, nor would we ever. I mean, we want to save lives, really, is what we're after, and we don't we never make a dime off of this. This is strictly something we do to make the fire service a little bit better.
Right.
And
Let
one
me
thing that
let me
go
ask.
ahead.
Go ahead. Nope. Please go ahead.
I was going to say one thing that's really interesting that we started doing a few years ago is called a staff ride, which is that was developed originally by the military. It's where we physically go and visit. We do this in cooperation with the fire department where it took place. We go and we visit the site of a line of duty death. So you're actually
Mm,
looking at the physical location where it occurred, and you have people that were involved in the incident. Maybe they were the incident commander, maybe they were a firefighter, whatever, and people that were there that day or night give their perspective on what happened, what they saw, what they heard, what they felt, and then we get together and we discuss the lessons learned. You know, what can we take away from this so that it wasn't in vain? How do we prevent this from happening in another community tomorrow morning? And those are very impactful. And generally, when we do a staff ride, we'll invite 40 to 50 people to come along with us. Some of these people are not necessarily members of the NFFF. These are members of that fire department, a neighboring fire department, or a department from somewhere else in the country. And we collectively discuss, what did we learn here? Like, what can we do better or different the next time as a fire service in general?
That's powerful. That's powerful. You said loss doesn't go in vain. And I think that is what we owe anyone, right? Is that we learn from what happens. And when there's a line of duty death, there's lessons to be learned, things we potentially can do better or learn from. And I think that, that is the ultimate respect for the situation, is to learn from it so that we get better. And I think that's very powerful. I wanted to ask you real quick, there's a flagship course that you mentioned to me earlier, The Courage to Be Safe, I believe the title of that is. Can you give me a little rundown on that? Because I think it has to do with the 16 life safety initiatives that the NFFF stands by.
It does. It's based entirely on that. And in terms of the initiatives, those were developed in 2004. Back then, they brought together all kinds of fire service leaders, and they looked at what are we doing? What are the common themes with every line of duty death that's occurred in the past several decades? And what they found was at that time, they identified 16 different things that seemed to have some type of correlation with the trends that we were seeing. Now, on the 20-year anniversary, which was last fall, we had another summit where we, again, brought together a large number of fire service leaders, and we asked the question, are all 16 of these still relevant? And the answer was yes, they are, but they need some tweaking. So what's occurred is the 16 initiatives are being revamped. They're being pared down to 12, and they're being divvied up into different categories, or pillars, as we call them, and those will be released shortly. Courage to Be Safe will be redeveloped, and it'll be based on these new 12 initiatives. And what we found is that these new 12 initiatives are, no matter where you are in the fire service, whether you're a rookie firefighter, you just graduated the academy, or you're a senior chief officer, there's something in these 12 and these different pillars that you can implement, that you can do. So it'll help to, I think, engage more people. Because some people may look at some of these initiatives and say, well, I can't really, if it's related to grant funding or something like that, I'm not involved in that. I can't help that. The new rollout, which I would expect will be public here shortly, really has something for everybody. But the initiatives, whether we're talking about the existing 16 or the 12 that are about to come out, they just identify areas where we could do better. The first one is cultural change. We have to, well, everybody wants to be aggressive. I understand that, and we never ever say different, but cultural change focuses on, we shouldn't accept every bad outcome as just a cost of doing business. Right? If someone passes away in the line of duty, we should never say, well, that's just the way it goes. It's a dangerous endeavor, and it is dangerous, and it is risky, but there should be something we take away from every line of duty death to see if we can do better next time, and not have to present a folded flag, to a family member. So Courage to Be Safe empowers students to take a look at themselves, take a look at their organization, their crew, and whether they're a formal leader, an informal leader, or just a firefighter, there's always something you can do to make things better, safer, more efficient for you, and also for the next generation, to try and leave it better than you found it.
This episode's brought to you by Ease Alert Heart Smart Alerting Solutions. Have you ever been jolted awake by a blaring station alarm only to sprint out half asleep, heart pounding? That's that legacy fire station alerting system, and it's doing much more harm then good. So meet EaseAlert, the world's first heart-smart firefighting alerting system. Designed by firefighters, proven by science, their purpose-built alerting devices deliver vibration and visual alerts, shaving seconds off of turnout times while improving health for the first responder. EaseAlert isn't just about comfort, it's about safety. Firefighters are 14 times more likely to die from heart attacks during alarm responses than during non-emergency duties. EaseAlert's HeartSmart system slashes stress, improves performance safety, and allows you to be the best firefighter you can be, on duty and at home. From bunk alerts and wristbands to dispatching consoles, display boards, and firehouse lighting, every component is purpose-built by firefighters for firefighters. No more missed tones, no more startled response, just fast, smooth, safe alerts. Fire departments across the country, like Mission, Texas, and St. Augustine, Florida, report calmer crews and faster turnout times. And their chiefs even say that the system is battle-tested and firefighter approved. So are you ready to switch? Visit easealert.com and discover how silent alerting can save time, reduce stress, and improve safety for you, your crew, and your community. Visit easealert.com to learn more and tell them National Fire Radio sent you. That's what it's all about, right? I mean, that's our core mission. I think everybody should be feeling that way, and that's what should be driving all of us. I would agree with you 100%. Yeah, that was very powerful. I actually just made a note in just a little connotation in my notes about that. That's going to be a clip right there, because that was a really powerful how you said it, right? We shouldn't accept every bad outcome as the price of doing our job. Right. I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of times we do that. Well, it's a dangerous job, next time we'll get it next time, right?
Right.
No, I think real conversation should be looking at our job, and to be professional means that we're constantly reviewing what we're doing and how we respond and how we perform. And that is, I think that's really important. And you hit on that really well there. I think that's great. I do know the 16 life safety initiatives is a very strong platform for you guys at the NFFF. I know that is a program that you guys have put together based on solid information. And, I know there's tremendous value in that. So much so, I believe you told me, too, that this program also has found its way into a lot of Firefighter One programs across the country, correct?
It has. In fact, right now, there's 26 states that require courage to be safe as part of their Firefighter One curriculum or their basic firefighter training. So a lot of people do recognize that, this is important information to have. And a lot of it is really just about holding yourself accountable and others. Again, just not accepting a bad outcome is something that's simply going to happen. Tragedies are going to happen. There are going to be mishaps on the fire ground, but not all of them have to occur. And not a lot. There are departments out there that are accidentally successful, which is a term we use, which essentially just means lucky. They do things a certain way. Maybe there's a lot of freelancing. Maybe there's a lot of reckless behavior. Maybe there's not a lot of good risk-benefit analysis, and they get away with it for a number of years. And they just say,
you're right.
"Well, we've been doing this for 100 years this way," and because we say that a lot in the fire service, right? Well, we've always done it this way, so we're gonna
without a doubt.
And
as we ask less to do more, business as usual becomes really an important talking point, because if we don't have the staffing we once had, or we're not getting the amount of equipment out, or whatever it is, when you're asking less to do more, it can't be business as it's always been. We have to be proactive in our response to that and say, listen, if staffing is down, what can we truly do with the staffing at hand? And if we're not constantly reviewing and organizing our thoughts and ideas about where we are currently, we're going to lose. And that's where tragedy strikes, no doubt.
100%. And that's a very common theme. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of departments are struggling with staffing, both career and volunteer. The fire service in general is doing way more calls for service than they've ever done.
Yes.
with fewer fewer firefighters, maybe less equipment, because as you know, apparatus especially, everything is getting more expensive every year, and
Sure.
it's becoming an affordability issue. So a lot of people are struggling to do the same thing with less equipment, fewer resources. And another class that we offer, which we think is very impactful, is after action review.
Yeah.
It's when you return from an alarm, and it doesn't have to be a major incident. Maybe something slightly unusual occurred, or we got accidentally successful. Maybe we had a near miss. Turns out nobody got injured or killed this time, but if this were to happen again tomorrow morning, you know, what will we do differently? And this
Right.
course just it it has you ask these questions to yourself and your crew, like, all right, what was our mission? What went well, right? Because usually there's a lot of good things that occur on calls that we go to, and there's a few other things that, okay, if this were to happen again tomorrow morning, what would we do differently? Because we got lucky this time, we got accidentally successful, right? Tomorrow we may not be so lucky. So how are we going to manage this if it happens again tomorrow morning? And then who needs to know? Because I think in the fire service, sometimes we're resistant to do that, right? We're resistant to share our missteps. We kind of hope nobody saw what just occurred.
Yep.
Maybe the news ran a really nice story. The fire went out, everything was good, but boy, we had a couple close shaves on that call, and it's
Yeah,
important
man.
to yeah, it's
Yeah.
important to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, as far as the public knows, that went really awesome, but internally, there's a couple things we got to address here. And these
You,
courses they don't produce a written record or anything like that. These are just tailboard type discussions where you sit
yeah.
around and say, okay, let's talk about this for a minute. Let's ask these 5 questions of ourselves, and let's come up with a better plan if we got to do the same thing tomorrow. And you know what? Let's share this with our neighboring departments, with our mutual aid partners, with whoever, because let them learn from our mistakes, and let's learn from theirs as well.
That's a big part of it, right? Is the willingness to share our mistakes with others so that others can learn like we did. And, I think too often we're so guarded, whether it's individually or as a department, that when we do make errors or mistakes, we don't like to talk about them. We like to sweep them under the carpet. But the problem is nobody else is learning from it then, right? So I,
Exactly.
I, I agree with you 100%. I wanted to ask you too, where did, how did this connection with you and the foundation, where did that come from? You said you've been with them now for about 2 years, but the how did that relationship come about? Was it something? Was this a foundation that you always respected, or you knew a lot about, or I mean, what? How did you find it? And then I want to press you with that even further and say, what has it done for you? Because I can only imagine the return on your own investment from being involved with a foundation like this that gives so much has got to be very, very gratifying for you.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I started as a volunteer advocate back in 2017. Uh, Honestly, I didn't know much about the foundation. I knew a few people that were advocates, and I kind of asked them, what is this all about? And they told me a little. I filled out the application, and I started, doing what our current volunteer advocates do. And I went out and taught courses like Courage to be Safe, Leadership so Everyone Goes Home, After Action Review, Attributes of Leadership. And what I've learned is, I've gotten to meet a lot of different firefighters all over the country, fire chiefs, um, state level administrators. And it's interesting that, our problems are all really the same. The things that are occurring in one fire department are more than likely occurring everywhere else. So it's a collective mission. We can all do better. Whether you're, you know, we all like to think that we come from the best fire department in the world, and most of us are part of very, very good
Sure.
organizations that do a phenomenal job. But it's important to remember that you're never quite as good as you think. And when you turn your back on firefighting is when it's going to bite you. So that's where we come in. And again, we don't ever come into a community and teach you how to run your operation. You probably know what you're doing. You're probably very good at it, and we accept that. We deal more with just cultural issues, leadership, taking a good long look in the mirror and saying, okay, we are pretty good, but we could be better. How do we achieve that? And it's been a tremendous learning experience for me. And I think every advocate that we've brought in to our organization really says the same thing. It's the whole spectrum. Somebody's maybe brand new to the fire service, or somebody's been around for 40 plus years. They all say that, when they go teach a class for us, they learn as much as the students do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a very rewarding experience for all of us on the fire programs side of things, and certainly the folks over on the family program side,
Sure.
which is that division is actually run by Joanne Rund, who is the retired chief of Baltimore County. She does an amazing job, and what they do is extremely important. We're the preventative side. They're more the reactive side, where something has occurred, and now we're going to come in and assist the community, the fire department, and most importantly, the families that are left behind. So it's really a tremendous experience for all of us. And it kind of reaffirmed for me that, this really is one big brother and sisterhood. We are a big family. We don't always agree on stuff, and we don't always do things similar to how they do it down the road, but we all have the same mission. We want to show up at an emergency scene, make things better, and then go home safely to our loved ones. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's all we're after.
Well, I'm sure, with your tenure with the foundation now, and being involved as you are, and watching the growth of the advocacy program, you said 100 people in the last year or two alone. That's got to be very fulfilling for you. It's got to be exciting to watch the foundation grow and the outreach spread. And that's why I wanted to have you on today. I thought that this would be a great opportunity to share the programs and what you guys are doing, because I really think education's the key, and I think there's so many great organizations out there that the average backstep firefighter doesn't even know exists. They don't know there's tools and resources available through multiple channels of how to, to grow personally, and to help your department or your company grow as well. And, the services offered by the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation is just one of those groups that can bring tremendous value to your own fire service career, but also your fire company too. And it goes a very long way. And John, I thank you. I can only imagine how fulfilling it is for you to work on behalf of the organization. And just a little background as to where people can reach out, where they can find information, how do they get a hold of you or an advocate? Give me some resources that are available to people that are listening.
Sure. So our website is firehero.org. If you go onto that site, you can find an advocate application. You can find information on all the courses we teach. You can find other ways to become involved in the foundation, whether it's through making a donation or something similar. You can also email me directly if you have any questions, or you'd like to hear more about what the advocacy is, hear a little about fire family programs. It's J Kane, so JKANE at firehero.org.
Nice. Nice. Well, John, thank you. Thanks for taking some time out of your morning to join me today on the show. I'm excited to get this out and to educate people. There's actually a couple great sound bites that are going to come out of this that I think are going to get people interested in the conversation. And that's truly, for me, what is so important with what we do at National Fire Radio is the awareness of it, right? Like, with the platform that we have in the distribution network, we can share with organizations like yours. It goes a very long way in bringing awareness to valuable programs that the foundations like the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation brings forth. And so thank you for taking a few minutes and joining me today. I truly appreciate it. And stay right here. I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to come right back to you, okay?
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, John. Thank you. Guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the National Fire Radio Podcast. Like I say at the end of every single episode, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it, because when we're talking about the job, we're making the job better. In this case, no doubt. The National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, firehero.org. That's where you want to go to find the resources available for you, to educate you about the programs and opportunities available with the foundation. And remember one thing, this is a foundation that is solely there to support us and our families in the time of need, while preventing or while giving and distributing education and awareness about what we could be doing better on the job. And so with that, I thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.